You're insecure for not accepting my ex as a friend. So I showed his messages to everyone. My boyfriend looked at me with that condescending smile I had learned to hate over the past 6 months. The kind of smile that comes with, "You're overreacting," or "You need to work on your issues." Avery, seriously, this is about insecurity. Brooke is my friend, that's all. If you can't handle the fact that I have a healthy friendship with my ex, maybe you need therapy. Therapy. He wielded that word like a weapon, as if my discomfort with him spending 3 nights a week helping Brooke with a project was my flaw, not a giant red flag. Caleb, she texts you saying, "I miss you" at 2 in the morning, comments hearts on all your photos, calls you crying about things any real therapist should be hearing, not her ex-boyfriend. His eyebrows shot up, eyes gleaming with poorly disguised irritation. So now you want to control who can be my friend, who can text me? This isn't love, Avery. It's possessiveness. The word hit me like a slap. Possessiveness. Not broken trust, not reasonable boundaries. Possessiveness. I should have ended it there. In that moment, in the kitchen of the apartment we'd shared for a year, with the smell of cooling coffee and the tension thick enough to cut. But instead, I swallowed my anger, my fear, the voice in my head screaming that something was wrong. "You're right. I'm sorry. I'll work on it." The words came out automatically, conditioned by months of being made to feel crazy for questioning the obvious. Caleb smiled, satisfied, and kissed my forehead as if he were comforting a stubborn child who had finally seen reason. "I'm glad you understand. Brooke is important to me. She's been through a lot, and I just want to be there as a friend. That doesn't take anything away from what we have." He left for work 15 minutes later. As soon as the door closed, I grabbed my phone and called Mary. Meredith Lee had been my best friend since college, a software developer with zero patience for manipulation and a radar for suspicious behavior that could be used militarily. She answered on the first ring. "He said you need therapy for not accepting his friendship with his ex again?" Her voice held no surprise, just contained anger. Word for word. "Ave, how many times are we going to have this conversation? You know what's happening. You just don't want to admit it." I closed my eyes, feeling hot tears threatening to fall. I know, but Mary, what if I really am being insecure? What if I'm sabotaging a good relationship because of my issues? Silence on the other end. Then a long, heavy sigh. "All right, I'm going to prove it to you. Do you ever find his phone unlocked?" "Sometimes, when it's charging. He doesn't put a password on it when he's home." "Then you're going to look, tonight, and you're going to send me screenshots of what you find. Not because I want to be right, but because you deserve to know the truth." I spent the entire day with a knot in my stomach. I worked on my client designs, answered emails, pretending normalcy while every cell in my body vibrated with anxiety. Part of me hoped not to find anything. Part of me knew I would find everything. Caleb got home at 7, smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't his. Floral, sweet. The perfume Brooke wore in her Instagram photos. My stomach churned, but I smiled. "How was your day?" "Tiring. Non-stop meetings." He dropped his phone on the kitchen counter to wash his hands. The screen was on. No password. My chance. "I'm going to take a shower. Will you order food?" "Sure. What do you want?" "Anything. You choose." He disappeared down the hall. I heard the bathroom door close, the shower start. My hand trembled as I picked up his phone. The first thing I saw were the messages with Brooke. Dozens, hundreds, stretching back for months. I scrolled, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "Brooke, are you coming over today? I miss you here." Caleb, "As soon as she falls asleep. I can't stay long, she's suspicious." Brooke, "She still doesn't know about the plan?" Caleb, "No, and she won't know until we're ready. Did you get the apartment papers?" "All set. As soon as you're done with her, we'll sign for the purchase. Our little place, finally." My vision blurred. My breath became short. I read more. Each message was a stab. Messages about how Avery is dramatic but useful, about how my designer salary was helping build their future, about how Brooke was anxious for when we could stop pretending. There were photos of them together at her house, on the couch I recognized from Instagram photos. Caleb with his arm around her, Brooke kissing his cheek, dated 2 nights ago, when he said he was working late. My hands trembled so much I almost dropped the phone. I opened my own phone's camera and started taking pictures. Every message, every photo, every piece of evidence of the elaborate betrayal that had been happening right under my nose while I was being made to feel crazy for suspecting. I found more. Emails about an apartment they were buying together, in both their names, using money from an account Caleb created where I deposited our share of the rent and bills. Money I thought I was saving for our future together was funding his love nest with the ex he never got over. The shower stopped. I put his phone exactly where it was, breathing shallowly, mind racing. When Caleb came out of the bathroom, 20 minutes later, hair damp and a casual smile, I was on the couch pretending to scroll Instagram. "Did you order food?" "Not yet. I was waiting for you to decide." He looked at me with slight irritation. "Av, I said it didn't matter. Just order anything." The casualness, the normalcy, as if he hadn't just showered to wash off the scent of another woman, as if he wasn't planning to financially drain me before ditching me. I ordered Thai food. We ate in tense silence. I went to the bedroom early, saying I had a headache. Locked in the bathroom, I sent everything to Mary. She called me 30 seconds later, her voice low but fierce. That son of a bitch isn't just cheating on you. He's stealing from you. You need to leave, now. I can't. The apartment is in both our names. Half my things are here. And Mary, if I leave now, he'll know I found out. He'll hide everything. So, what are you going to do? I sat on the cold bathroom floor, phone pressed to my ear, feeling something shift inside me. It wasn't sadness yet. It was anger. Pure, crystalline, focused anger. I'm going to do exactly what he did to me. I'm going to plan. I'm going to gather evidence, and then I'm going to destroy them both in a way they'll never forget. Mary was silent for a moment. Are you sure? Because once you start down this path, I am absolutely sure. They made a fool of me. They made me question my sanity. They stole from me. And worse, they made me believe I was the problem. So yes, I am sure. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We spent the next hour planning. Mary, with her analytical developer's mind, mapped out every step. I needed more evidence. I needed access to his emails, bank accounts, the apartment contracts they were buying. I needed to build a case so solid there would be no denying it. And then I needed the perfect platform to expose everything. For the next 3 days, I became an award-winning actress. I smiled at Caleb. I had sex with him when he asked, completely dissociating, thinking of spreadsheets and evidence. I let him make me feel crazy a few more times, each insult adding fuel to the fire burning inside me. And I investigated. When he left, I searched. I found the apartment contract hidden in a folder in the office. I copied everything. I found bank statements showing that 30% of my salary for the past 8 months had gone towards the down payment for that apartment. Money I thought was in a joint savings account was literally building their future. Mary hacked, her word not mine, his email account. We found more. Messages to friends laughing about how easy to manipulate I was. Texts to Brooke planning how they would make the transition seem like my fault so I wouldn't question the financial split. They had everything planned. Caleb would break up with me, saying I was too controlling, that my insecurity had killed the relationship. I would be so grateful he didn't fully blame me that I would accept a split where I would lose everything I invested in the relationship. It was devastatingly well orchestrated, and it would have worked if I hadn't looked at that phone. On Friday night, a week after my discovery, Caleb announced he was having game night with the guys, a lie I now recognized as night with Brooke. Have fun, I'm going to sleep early anyway. He kissed my forehead, grabbed the backpack that no doubt had clean clothes inside, and left. As soon as I heard the car leave, I called Mary. Is it today? It is today. Do you have everything ready? Everything. The video is edited, the evidence is compiled. Now, I just need the courage. Avery, you are the bravest person I know. You survived months of gaslighting, manipulation. You survived being made a fool of by someone you loved. And now, you're going to survive this, making them pay. I took a deep breath. I opened my laptop. The video I had spent the week creating was ready. 3 minutes of his messages with Brooke, screenshots of financial transactions, photos of them together with dates and times when he said he was elsewhere, all compiled with my calm, factual narration explaining exactly what was happening. The video title, When Your Boyfriend Says You're Insecure for Questioning His Friendship with His Ex. I had 2 options. I could send this only to close friends, I could confront them privately, or I could do what they deserved. I opened Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I tagged Caleb, Brooke, and every mutual person we had. His friends, his family, coworkers, Brooke's followers who saw her as this authentic, spiritual wellness influencer. And I posted. The video went up at 9 p.m. By 9:15, my phone started exploding. Messages, calls, notifications flooding the screen so fast I couldn't keep up. Caleb called me at 9:20. I ignored it. He called 7 more times. Each went to voicemail, his voice escalating from confusion to anger to panic. Brooke blocked me everywhere within 10 minutes, but not before her followers flooded her comments. Is this true? You're a fraud. Wellness and authenticity? Seriously? Caleb's mother messaged me. Short, simple. I'm so sorry. You deserved better. I raised a monster. Mutual friends we had, whom Caleb had carefully cultivated to be on his side when we broke up, started sending me messages of support, of shock, of anger directed at him. At 10 p.m., Caleb showed up at the apartment. I heard the key in the lock, the door opening forcefully. He entered the bedroom where I was sitting calmly, suitcase already packed beside me. What did you do? His voice was hoarse, face red, eyes wide. I showed the truth. You said I needed to work on my insecurity, so I worked on it. I found out it wasn't insecurity. It was intuition. Avery, you destroyed my reputation, my career. Brooke is receiving death threats from her furious followers. I stood up, picking up my suitcase. You destroyed my trust, my mental health, my money. Consider it a tie. You can't just leave. The apartment is ours. Your things are here. I took a step towards him, and something in my gaze made him recoil. The apartment is in both our names. My lawyer has already filed papers for asset division. You will return every penny you stole from the joint savings you used to buy a love nest with your ex. And if you don't, all the material I didn't put in the video, including evidence of financial fraud, will go to the police. You're bluffing. I pulled out my phone, showed him the screen, a draft email to the police with attachments. My finger hovered over the send button. Want to find out? His face cycled through 5 different emotions. Anger, fear, disbelief, more anger. Finally, defeat. I loved you. The most pathetic lie of all. I laughed, a humorless sound. No, you used me. There's a difference. I walked past him, leaving the apartment we had shared for a year. Mary was waiting in her car on the street, engine running. I put my suitcase in the back seat and got in. How are you? I looked out the window, seeing Caleb on the balcony, watching the car drive away. Honestly, relieved, furious, free. Mary smiled, putting her hand on mine. You were incredible in there. He was terrified. He should be, because this isn't over. There's still the money issue, and making sure they never do this to anyone else. The next few days were a blur. The video went viral. Not on a millions of views level, but within our social circles, it was all people talked about. Did you see what Caleb did? Brooke is a complete fraud. Avery is a queen for exposing them like that. Caleb lost friends. His family distanced themselves, embarrassed. At work, his colleagues started treating him differently when the story spread. Brooke lost sponsors. Wellness brands that paid for her posts started cutting ties. Followers massively unfollowed. Her carefully constructed brand of authenticity and integrity was in ruins. And me? I received overwhelming support. Women who had gone through similar situations messaged me. "Thank you for having the courage to expose this. You made me realize I'm not crazy. Your video gave me the strength to leave my manipulator." My lawyer, recommended by Mary, was a woman in her 40s named Ruth Patterson, who had built a career destroying men who tried to defraud partners in divorces. She looked at all the evidence I compiled and smiled. It wasn't a gentle smile. "Miss Thompson, you've done my work for me. With this documentation, not only will we recover your money, but we'll likely secure additional damages for fraud. How long will it take? With everything you have, we'll probably settle out of court. He won't want this to go any further. I give him 2 weeks until he's begging to sign an agreement." Ruth was right. 10 days after I left, Caleb agreed to return every penny he took from the joint accounts, plus $15,000 in damages. He also completely relinquished any rights to the apartment we shared, giving me 60 days to find a new place or buy him out completely. Brooke had to deal with her own consequences. Furious followers, lost sponsorships. The apartment they were buying fell through because without my unwitting money, they didn't have enough for a down payment. And when the real estate agency found out how the money had been obtained, they completely refused to work with them. 2 months after the video, I was sitting in my new apartment. Smaller than the previous one, but entirely mine. White walls I planned to paint vibrant colors. Empty space waiting to be filled with furniture I would choose that would reflect my taste, not our taste that was really just his. Mary showed up with pizza and wine, our Friday tradition that had been interrupted during my relationship with Caleb. "So, how's the vengeful single life?" I laughed, grabbing a slice. "Surprisingly good. I landed 3 new clients this week. Apparently, the designer who exposed her cheating, fraudulent boyfriend has a certain appeal. Unusual marketing, but it works." We drank wine in comfortable silence. Then Mary looked at me, her expression turning serious. "Really, Ave, how are you doing, emotionally?" I set my glass on the table, thinking. Some days are hard. I wake up and for a second, I forget. Then I remember, and there's this wave. Not sadness exactly, more like renewed anger that I wasted time on someone so awful. Normal. But then there are also days when I wake up and feel pure gratitude. Because I found out. Because I had the courage to act. Because I didn't let them get away with it. And slowly, the good days are outweighing the bad. Mary smiled. "You're different, since you broke up. Stronger, more yourself." Because I no longer have someone telling me my instincts are wrong, that my concerns are insecurity. I found that when you remove the manipulator from the equation, you learn to trust yourself again. So, what's next? I smiled, picking up my wine. Therapy, eventually. Not because I need to work on my insecurity, but because I want to process everything healthily, grow my business, travel, see friends, live, alone and happy. And dating? Maybe in 1,000 years. We laughed, but there was truth there. I wasn't ready, and for the first time, I was okay with that. I didn't need to be in a relationship to feel complete. 3 months turned into 6. 6 turned into a year. Life moved on. Caleb eventually moved to another city, his reputation too destroyed to rebuild locally. Brooke attempted a comeback online, posts about growth through mistakes that her remaining followers immediately saw through. She disappeared from social media months later. And me? I grew my graphic design business to the point of hiring help. I traveled to places I had always wanted to go, but Caleb always had an excuse not to. I rebuilt friendships I had let wither during the relationship. I reconnected with myself. One autumn afternoon, a year and a half after posting that video, I was working in a coffee shop when someone approached. Avery Thompson? I looked up. It was a woman my age, brown hair in a ponytail, nervous eyes. Yes? I'm Paige. You don't know me, but I saw your video last year, and it made me realize I was in a similar situation. My boyfriend doing exactly what yours did. Manipulation, gaslighting, everything. And your video gave me the courage to leave, to investigate, to act. She held my hand, eyes glistening with tears. I wanted to thank you. You saved my future, maybe my life. I squeezed her hand back, my throat tight with emotion. You saved yourself. I just showed it was possible, that we're not crazy for questioning, that trusting our instincts isn't weakness. Paige smiled, wiped her tears, and left. I went back to my laptop, but couldn't focus. That interaction reminded me why I did what I did. Not just for revenge, but so that other women would see, so they would know that manipulation has a name, it has a pattern, and it has a solution. That night, I posted for the first time about the subject since the original video, a long, reflective text. A year and a half ago, I exposed my boyfriend and his ex for cheating, manipulation, and financial fraud. Many called it revenge, but it was more than that. It was reclaiming my narrative. It was refusing to let them rewrite the story to make me look like the villain. Today, a woman thanked me for saving her life, but she saved her own life. She trusted her instincts. Trust yours too. If someone makes you feel crazy for having reasonable concerns, you're not crazy. You're being manipulated, and you deserve better. The post went viral. Thousands of likes, hundreds of comments from women and men too, sharing similar stories, offers for podcasts, invitations to speak at events about healthy versus manipulative relationships. Mary called, laughing, "You accidentally became an anti-manipulation activist." I guess so. Funny how that works, right? The worst thing that happened to me turned into a platform to help others. It's not funny, it's perfect. You took pain and turned it into purpose. 2 full years after that night that changed everything, I was speaking at an event about healthy relationships. A room full of people, mostly women, some clearly in difficult situations, looking for answers. I told my story. I didn't skip parts. I didn't sugarcoat it. I talked about how manipulation starts subtly, how gaslighting makes you question reality, how financial abusers operate in the shadows while smiling in the light. And I talked about recovery, about rebuilding trust in yourself, about learning that being alone isn't loneliness when you're in good company of your own. Afterwards, during Q&A, a woman raised her hand. Do you regret exposing them so publicly? Many say you should have handled it privately. I looked at her, at the room, at all the faces waiting for my answer. No, not one bit, because handling it privately would mean they would control the narrative. It would mean they could paint me as the crazy one, the controlling one, the insecure one. Exposing them publicly meant the truth was out there. It meant other women could see the patterns, and it meant they would think twice before doing it to someone else. So no, zero regrets. The room erupted in applause. That night, I returned to my apartment, now decorated exactly as I wanted it, and sat on the balcony. The city glowed below, lights blinking like terrestrial stars. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. You ruined my life. Caleb. I recognized the tone, even without a name. I didn't reply. I simply blocked the number. He didn't deserve space in my head, not even the space of a reply. Instead, I messaged Mary. Dinner next week? I need to tell you about the proposal I received to write a book about manipulative relationships. Apparently, my story resonates. She replied seconds later. OMG, yes, and you have to write that book. How many lives could you change? I smiled, looking at the stars. Caleb was right about one thing. I had ruined his life. But he ruined his own life with his choices. I just refused to be a silent accomplice. And in that process, I built a new life. A life where I don't question my instincts, where I trust my voice, where insecurity isn't used as a weapon against legitimate intuition. 3 years after that fateful eve, the book was released. You're Not Crazy: Recognizing and Escaping Manipulative Relationships. Bestseller in 2 weeks. Hundreds of reviews from people saying the book saved relationships by identifying patterns early, or saved lives by giving courage to leave. Caleb and Brooke were pseudonyms in the book, but anyone in our social circles knew exactly who they were. I heard rumors that Caleb tried to sue for defamation. His lawyer apparently advised against it, since truth is an absolute defense, and I had documentation of everything. My life was now unrecognizable from the life I had 3 years ago. A thriving business, a published book, speaking engagements across the country, and most importantly, peace. Peace with myself, peace with my choices, peace with my future. There was even space for romance, eventually. I met someone, slowly, cautiously, but with open eyes and clear boundaries. And for the first time, a relationship felt like a partnership, not a performance. One night, months after the book's release, Mary and I were having dinner, celebrating 5 years of post-drama friendship, as we joked. Do you remember that night when I called you crying from the bathroom because Caleb had called me possessive? I remember. I remember wanting to reach through the phone and shake you until you saw reason. Why didn't you? Because you needed to get there on your own. If I had forced you, you would have resisted, or worse, gone back to him. It had to be your choice. It was the best choice I ever made. No, the best choice was what you did next. Not just leaving, but fighting back, turning trauma into triumph, helping others. That was the best choice. I raised my wine glass. To making difficult choices, to trusting our instincts, and to friends who stay when everything falls apart. Mary clinked her glass against mine, and to ex-boyfriends who underestimated who they were messing with. We laughed, toasted, and continued dinner. Later, walking through the city streets, I felt deep gratitude. Not for the pain, never for the pain, but for what I learned through it. I learned that intuition isn't insecurity. I learned that questioning suspicious behavior is reasonable, not controlling. I learned that people who make you feel crazy for noticing their lies are the problem, not you. I learned that revenge isn't always dirty when it's simply truth being told. And I learned that rebuilding after betrayal isn't just possible, it's triumphant. Every day, waking up in peace is a victory. Every decision made based on what I want, not what someone manipulates me into wanting, is a personal revolution. This story shows us that trusting your instincts isn't insecurity, it's wisdom. When someone uses your legitimate concerns as a weapon against you, turning reasonable questions into character flaws, you are not in a healthy relationship. You are being manipulated. And exposing manipulation isn't cruel revenge. It's necessary truth that protects not only you, but future victims. The best way to overcome betrayal isn't to forget. It's to turn pain into purpose, use the experience to grow, and help others recognize the patterns before they lose years like you did. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming and just revenge. Leave in the comments if you've ever experienced gaslighting or a manipulative relationship. Always remember, you are not crazy. Your instincts are right, and you deserve honest love, not manipulative games. When was the last time you trusted your instincts despite someone telling you you were overreacting?